charter schools are publicly funded schools in the K-12 space, freed from a number of regulations with the idea that they're going to experiment with innovative ideas to improve learning, and really a goal of expanding opportunities for academically low achieving students.
I'm on the board of a charter school here in Denver, Colorado, which is where I live, and we just made decisions that we can do as a charter school that many public schools can't, to actually do more performance pay and do more raises for our top performing teachers.
I think there's so much room here for innovation about what is the student experience? What would make a kid keep coming to school? What does that mean for instructional materials? What does that mean for who is teaching? Affirming education and high levels of engagement plus the standards alignment is what we now anchor on in terms of a definition of quality education.
Given all of the inequities that were laid bare during the pandemic, we now can no longer ignore them. We need to make sure that we are focused on all the students who have been furthest behind for opportunity. We have always focused on supporting early stage innovators in education, new charter schools and new district schools, making sure that we're funding people who are reflective of the students that we seek to serve, because we think they bring much needed insights as well as improved outcomes for students.
There is a program, STAND is now spreading across the country, where teachers sit around the table and they talk about individual students who might have an off-track indicator, swapping ideas and best practices at the individual child level. We're seeing different ways that school systems are engaging with partners and thinking, although the whole time, about their long-term teacher pipelines.
I think we're getting to a point in the field where people understand that focusing on social emotional development is a way to improve academic results. I think the next forefront is then how do we include mental health and well-being in that as well?
So many cities, you have school districts that are 70, 80% kids of color. And the voting population is the complete opposite of that. When we think about system change, it starts with who's making these decisions. So it's getting more parents engaged, both not only from the advocacy standpoint, but ultimately in these leadership positions and making decisions that are best for their children, which I think for a while you didn't see a lot of given the voting trends, but I think that's slowly starting to shift.
There are a number of ideas that we're starting to fund where parents, as I said, are full partners in the education of their child. How might we support you so that you can be an extension of what's happening in the school day, but also so that you can demand change if your kid is not getting what they need?
We saw in some of our systems that we had been working with over about 18 months an approach to their response to COVID that for the first time really centered community voice and the voice of the folks most furthest from opportunity or most marginalized, really seeking out who are the kids that are disengaging? Who are the parents that don't have internet access? If you solve for those problems, then you're going to solve everybody else's problems as well.
We're now seeing districts saying, how do we best respond to the changing needs in our communities? How do we make sure that we are creating learning environments that are actually inspiring and compelling families to come and continue to come to us? We are creating a funnel for all the other kind of education funders to then be able to kind of pick up the strongest from our portfolio. So it's incumbent on us to think about taking these risks. And I believe it's the way that we're actually going to get to a much more excellent and equitable system.